Yeah, uh, hi, hello everyone. So today we are going to cover X units and code coverage for .NET Core application. So earlier I have created a generic repository pattern. So this video is also available in our channel. So I'm going to the same repository. So this code base I will use for our unit testing. Uh, so let me download this. So I have copied here. I'm opening a solution. So here we have created a CRUD operations. Let me expand this. We have employee controller. So employee controller has CRUD operations like get all employees, get employee by ID, and insert employee, delete employee, update employee. So we have total 5 methods. So we will cover code coverage for all these 5 methods. Also, we will write the unit tests. So let's check whether first of all let me check whether this application is working or not. Let me run this. Okay, so let me set this as a startup project. Set as a startup project. Just run it. It should open Swagger with our endpoints. Great. Go to post method, try it out, give one employee Smith, city, New York, execute. Perfect. 200. Success. Let's check whether it is saved or not. Try it out. Get employee by ID. I'm giving 1. You should get Smith. Right, Smith. So our API is working perfectly. So I'm closing this. Okay. Now let's create a unit test project for this API. Either we can create a separate solution for a unit test, or we can have it in the same solution where we have our application. So I'm creating in the same solution, but you can either create here, or you can separately create a new project, and in separate folder also you can have a unit test separately. Let me create here, add new project. You can select XUnit template here. If you type XUnit, it will show up. So XUnit test project, double click this one. XUnit project. I'm just naming it as a XUnit project. You can name it as whatever you want as per your requirement. Click next. I'm selecting .NET 8.0. Create. So it will create a XUnit project. So by default, XUnit packages will be there. If you see here, packages, Coverlet, this is for code coverage, and .NET test is there to run the tests, and XUnit and XUnit runner at Visual Studio. These packages are required to utilize XUnit functionality. So we no need to install from the NuGet these packages. Already by default, when you select XUnit template from the create project, automatically these packages will be downloaded. So you can also verify here, edit project file. So this item group, here we can see all packages, all NuGet packages. So we will be writing a unit test for this employee controller, right? So this is our controller. So here we need employee service. So when we create an employee controller object, so how we are going to create a unit test for this controller. Basically, we will create an object, and from that object we will access these methods. So and then we will execute all the lines which are there inside those methods. So here actually we need a employee service. So through employee service we will be sending the data. For example, here in employee controller, we have a dependency iEmployee service. So iEmployee service internally will be mapped to the employee service class. If you see here in program.cs file, iEmployee service is mapped to the iEmployee service. So employee service will have the implementation for this whatever methods inside this iEmployee service interface. These implementations are available inside this employee service class. So from employee service, again it will go to the repository and it will update the database. So all database interaction will happen from this class. But in case of unit test, we need this interface. But instead of calling our database service, we have to mock the database operations. So whatever operations are there inside this interface, like add employee, get employee, other operations, we have to mock this. So in case if you call get employee, our mock repository, whatever we use, that repository will provide the employee details. So it will not directly go to the database. So how we have to do that? So here we have a dependency. We need to supply iEmployee service to this employee controller. So for that we have to use a mock repository. So there is a framework called mock MOQ that NuGet package we have to download. So that mock framework will supply the object at runtime, which is of type iEmployee service. So how we can implement that? Let's see. Let's go back to our XUnit project. Let's rename this as employee controller test case. Okay, so here create a constructor. So in order to access this method, we need to create a object for employee controller. Let's create an object. Create a read-only employee controller. We have to add a reference. If you click here, automatically that reference will be added in dependencies. In project dependencies, so automatically it is added. So let's name this as a underscore employee controller. So here we will create a object for employee controller, new employee controller. So if you see here, we have to supply employee service object. So here how we can do that, we can create a employee service, employee service equal to new employee service. So we cannot create an object, right, for interface. And here we are not supposed to use the employee service class, which is there in our business layer. So how we can resolve this error? So for that, we have to download a NuGet package, as I said before. I'll be using a mock framework. Let's install that package. Apply. Okay, it's been installed. So let's create a another private variable for service I employee service. Public read only I employee service underscore employee service. Okay, so here actually we have to use a mock framework, right? So simply we have to add a mock keyword before this interface. So this is from the mock framework. So using mock. So here underscore employee service equal to, now see intelligence is showing new mock of I employee service. So here actually mock I employee service will provide the whatever methods are there inside this interface. These implementations now we will be receiving from this mock framework instead of employee service in our project. Okay, now we can pass the dependency for our controller. So employee controller is having a dependency of employee service. Now just pass this service, employee service dot object. So this is the initial setup we have to do. First we have to download the mock framework, and we have to create an object of that mock interface. Then that interface, after creating the variable, we have to pass that object to the controller. Now let's start writing the test cases. So first one, what is first one? First one is get all employees, which is of type get. So I'm creating public employee, public void employee controller underscore get to get employee. So this is for all employees, right? So give get all employees. So in XUnits, in order to identify any method as a test method, we have to decorate with a property called fact. There are different categories of properties X units will provide. So fact is one of it. So we will there are other decorators as well, like fact, theory, class type, and all that we will discuss in a few minutes. Whenever we are writing a unit test case, we have to follow three steps: arrange, act, and assert. So arrange means in order to run the particular method. So here, for example, get all employees, we have to cover this get all employees method. So to get that to run that method, what are all data is required, any input data is required, any setup is required, that kind of arrangement we will do in this step. So once that once that data is ready, then we will go to the next step, act. In this act step, we will call that actual method. And once that actual method is getting called, after that we will do the assertion. So in assert step, we will validate that data which is returning by the actual method and the data we are expecting, both are matching or not. That kind of validation we will do in assert step. Okay, so let's write so get all employees. Okay, first arrange. So in arrange step, we have to see what data we are expecting, right? So here get all employees. So what get all employees will do? Get all employees will return list of employees. So we have to create that data, list of employees data, list of employees. Let's name it as a expected output equal to new list of employees. Using models, we have to add this project dependencies. New employee id equal to 1, name equal to Smith, city equal to Canberra. Next, we'll create one more employee. Employee 2, Warner, Sydney. Okay, so we are expecting these employees from get all employees method. So what we will do in unit test usually, so actually in employee controller, this method will return the list of employees from the database. But here, since we don't use a database for unit test, we have to supply the expected output also. For that reason, we have created a expected output. So these two employees we have added to the expected output. So when we call that get all employees method, it will also return the same output. Now we have to supply this data to the iEmployee service of get all employees method. So how we can do that? We have this service reference, right? So underscore employee service dot set setup. Get all employees. Okay, here return Now we have arranged our data. Now in act step we will call the get all employees method. So we will use a employee controller instance dot get all. Get method name is get, right? So get, this will return list of employees. So let's create a one more variable, actual output. We call this as a actual output. So here if we see, we are not doing anything, we are not passing any data, right? So it will go to the get method and it will call this get all employees. So whatever employees we have mapped to that interface, that list it should return back. So that list we are reading into actual output. So now expected output, whatever we are supplying, and actual output both should be same. Then only this test case will be passed. So in assert step we will test that one. Assert dot equal expected output and actual output. Okay, so let's run this. We can debug this test case. Just keep a debug point and right click on the method name and click debug tests. I'm pressing F10 now. So yeah, data is set. So here I'm pressing F11. See, now it came to controller method get all employees, and actually output if we see, so whatever data we passed it is returning the same data. So expected output is same. See actual output, Canberra 1 Smith, Sydney 2 Warner. So expected and output are matching. It is successful. It is passed. Okay, so similarly we will create another test case. Which is for it will expect input ID. Okay. So whenever what it is telling, fact method cannot have parameters. So remove the parameters from the method or convert it into a theory. So XUnit is suggesting to use a theory decorator instead of fact, because here we are expecting input, right? So when we are expecting input, then we have to use the theory, right? So also ID we have to pass here. So for that we have to use inline data, in brackets pass input data. So here I am passing input data 1, that means employee ID 1. So this method will return only one employee. So let's have only one employee in expected output. Delete the other employee. Here get employees, get employee by ID. Get employee by ID. Okay. Dot returns expected output. So we have arranged the data. Now we will call the get method. So again This is ID. So if you see it is using the same method name, but here it is expecting input parameter. So we are passing the ID. Yeah, that's all. So now this test case is ready. Let's run. So two test cases are passed. You can see here tick mark. So here also we can pass multiple inputs so that in some scenarios we need to test with different inputs. In that case we no need to write a different test cases. So that is one advantage of inline data. For example, here for employee ID 1 we are testing. In case if you want to test for employee ID 2, you can pass inline data 2. So what it will do, it will create a two test cases in runtime, one with data 1 and another test case with data 2. So accordingly, we also need to update the implementation as well, because here inline data 1 means we are supplying employee with ID 1, but inline data 2 we don't have employee ID with 2. So accordingly, we have to update. For example, here expect output. Let's create a switch case here. It will take the ID, okay, and case. If ID is 1, then expected. Let's create this as a global variable. No employee. Okay. So case 1, expected output equal to copy this. Break. In case 2, that means if employee is 2, then we will supply different data. Now it will create a two test cases. One is with 1 and another one is with 2. When we are supplying 1, it should return we will expect output 1. When we supply 2, we will expect output 2. Let's run and see. First let's run the test cases. So currently how many test cases we have written? We wrote 3 test cases, 2 test cases. Okay, control came here. I'm pressing F10. So currently ID is 1. So it should go to the expected output is 1. Now if you test actual output, it is 1, right? So this is passed. So now again it will come to the same test case. See, it is creating one more test case with ID 2. This time expected output is 2. Actual output 2. Sydney Warner. So that way it will create a multiple test cases using a single method. That is the advantage of theory inline data. So 3 test cases. Let's create a next test case. Post public void employee controller underscore insert employee. Here we are expecting employee type, employee. Let's decorate with theory. So if it is of type object, input is a type of object, then we have to use class data decorator here. So here we are expecting input of type employee. So for that reason, we have to supply class data. So type of employee. Okay. So what it is telling. So we have to create a custom class to deal with this kind of scenarios. For example, here I'll create a we have to create a one class that should implement enumerable of object type. So let me explain with implementation. I'll create one class employee class data. So this class should implement enumerable of object. Because this will accept only enumerable of object type. If you see here, enumerable of object type. So we have to return the same type, then only it will accept that as an input parameter. For that, we need to take help from another class. So for that reason, I'm creating a one more class. Let's implement this interface. Let's implement this class. Here we can return object, return new object of type new employee. ID equal to 1, name equal to Smith, city equal to Canberra. Return get enumerator. Okay, now what it will do, it will send this object to that input parameter. So here we have to call employee class data. Okay, now this now that error has gone because it is of type enumerable of object. Let's quickly write the code. Here we no need to arrange anything, directly we can insert. Only we will have act, that's all, because this method won't return anything after inserting the employee. If you see here, it is of type void. So let's create a employee controller dot post. It's expecting employee. Actually here we no need to write asset also, but sometimes people write prefer to write something like this: set dot is true. Something like this, just to have asset statement. I know this won't make any sense. Yeah. So this is how actually people used to do it for methods which is not having any return types. So let's run and see this one. Let's verify that employee data is coming here or not. We'll debug and see. Let's debug this. 11. And yeah, verify here employee data. See, Canberra 1 Smith. So from this class, it is reading the data and it is supplying into this object. See here, Canberra 1 Smith, that we have defined inside this class, inside this employee class data. So this is how we have to deal with unit tests which are expecting some data types, like object types like employee, department, patient, whatever it is. Okay, let's continue. It is passed. Yeah, it is passed. So total 4 test cases. Yeah. Now, yeah, this is enough of unit test cases. So let's go for the coverage. So how we can do the code coverage? So code coverage is nothing but we will test the all code which is covering or not. So if any unreachable code is there, that we will know from this code coverage. So ideally companies will expect to cover 80%, 90% code coverage. Since we have written only simple methods, right? So which is very much reachable. So I will show you how we can cover 100% in this demo for our employee controller. So yeah. So for that we are using a tool called Coverlet. That package is already there yeah, in our package list. So apart from the apart from this coverlet.collector, we also need one more package. Let's install that package. Manage NuGet packages. So we need a coverlet.ms build. So this is also required to use ms build commands. So this is installed. Now we will run the coverlet from the command prompt. Yeah, now type this command .net test slash p collect coverage equal to enter. So now it will go and check each and every DLL which is there in this project, and it will find the test file, and then it will execute the test cases and it will give the report of code coverage. So yeah, one test file found. Passed 4, but Why it is not giving a code coverage? So actually test cases are passed, but we are not getting the code coverage. Exit. We have, okay, there is some error in ms build. Coverlet, let's build this. Again run the command. .NET build .NET test. Collect coverage true. So every time it will rebuild the solution and it will execute the test cases. Yeah. See, now we got the coverage as well here. So Crude API. So we are covering code coverage for this project only. But if you see here, unnecessarily it is calculating coverage for other layers as well, but which is not required, right? So we can exclude these DLLs from this report. For that, we have to update our command. Okay. So .NET test p exclude equal to here we don't want business logic layer DLL, so I'm adding that business logic star. So now it should exclude business logic DLL. Let's try this. Actually, it is running each time, right? So we can avoid this as well. We no need to build every time. So next time we will add that command. It will directly calculate the code coverage without building the application. So something wrong again. .NET test. Okay, we have not given code coverage in command .NET test /p collect coverage true. Okay, so this command will give the coverage, and also we want to exclude some DLLs. P exclude business start. So this command it should exclude business layer business logic related logic also will write. Okay, business logic related DLL if anything is there in our project. So if you see here, business logic layer, so it will exclude this project now from the execution. Let's run this. Right. So if you see here, business logic layer, currently it is not showing. It is excluded from the report. So also, so I copied into Notepad. So how we can exclude multiple DLLs? Yeah, actually I spent a lot of time to find out how to exclude DLLs from this uh, coverlet coverage. So finally I got it. So here actually what we have to do, instead of comma, actually we have to use a percentage to C. So this is a ASCII character for comma. Not sure why it is taking this one instead of comma. If I'm giving comma, it is not taking it is not excluding the DLLs. Only if I'm using the percentage to C, so then only it is excluding. Here models we want to exclude. Also, we don't want to run build each time. So what we will do, we can add here no build. So if we add this command at the end, then it will not build every time. Let's copy this, clear the screen, paste it. See, now directly to execute the test cases. Right. So see here, now everything is excluded. So whatever we want, that one only it is showing. So currently we are writing a unit test coverage for UI layer. That means web API layer. So for that only it is calculating. So this is how we can exclude DLLs from the report. Right. So here let's come back to the coverage. Now it is showing 28.88%. Let's go to the code. So also we can find out which are all lines are not covering here. If we go to the project, right? So here you can see green color and red color. So green color is covered ones, and red color you can see this red color lines. That means it is not covered. So that way we can find out which lines are not covering. So because of that, coverage is coming down. So if we cover that red lines, so automatically coverage will increase. Let's try to increase the coverage. Also, sometimes we don't want to cover some classes, right? So again, it is calculating code coverage for entire crude API, but here we don't want to calculate for program. So for that, we can exclude if we don't want to cover any class or any method, we can exclude using a property called exclude code. Yeah, exclude from code coverage. You can decorate with this one. This is exclude from code coverage. This is from system.diagnostics.code analysis. So now Now if we run the same command, so we have not written any extra test cases, right? But coverage will increase. Now currently 28.88. Let's run the same command again. So what happened? Okay, so we have to build the solution since we have updated the code. Let's remove the no build, run again. No, it will build the solution, and now it should exclude program.cs so that our coverage should increase. Let's see. Hope it will increase the coverage now. Right. Yeah. Now if you see 56.52 percentage, earlier it is 28.88 percentage. That means it is excluded the program.cs because of this decorator, right? So this way we can exclude files as well. So whatever files we don't want to execute, just decorate with this property. Now let's go back to the crude API controller. See here actually weather forecast. What is this weather forecast? Yeah, this is also not required. We can delete this. Let's check the coverage again. So weather forecast, yeah, I think that's been created by default when we are creating a API project. I guess that is also calculating. Now currently 56.52, right? It should increase now. Right, great. So now it is showing 68.42 percentage. So yeah, we have to cover these two methods. Then we have to rerun again. Let's quickly cover those methods as well. It's the same data for time being, but when we are writing for real project, we have to write a separate test data. Here update employee, which will expect two parameters, employee ID and employee object. Okay. Here also return type is not required, so I'm not giving anything. Employee. Okay. Here put. So it is expecting ID and employee. Okay, so one more test case, delete theory inline data public employee controller underscore delete employee. We need to supply ID. So for delete also, return type is not required, just date delete ID. Okay. Now we have covered all methods, right, for our controller. Now let's run the command again. Clear the output. There is some error. Unit tests XUnit update employee invalid operation. The test method expected two parameter values, but one parameter value was provided. How come? Exit? No, not exit. So we can use the same employee ID dot ID comma ask the employee object. So it should work. Let's run all tests and confirm whether it's passing or not before going to the coverage. Yeah, all passed. Well and good. Now let's give a try. Awesome. So you can see here our API code coverage is 100%. So yeah, we have successfully achieved 100% code coverage using Coverlet. Exit this. So employee controller, we are covering all lines. Yeah, so this is all about unit test using XUnit framework, and we are mocking the repository methods using a mock framework. We are using a Coverlet for code coverage. Hope you like this video. Please subscribe and like the video. And I will also provide this source code GitHub link in the description. In case if you want to check it out, yeah, you can go to the GitHub link and download it. Thank you once again. Bye.